Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be doing a no-contact love reading. There are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the green calcite. Group 2 is the orange calcite. And group 3 is the pink calcite. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups, or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to, I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. Chose the green calcite. So I'm going to start with looking into what are the person on your mind that you are in a no-contact situation with. What are their thoughts and feelings about you and the state of this no-contact situation? So we have the Moon, 10 of Cups, and Milky Way perspective. So this is giving the impression of absence has made the heart grow fonder. This person may be watching you from afar, or they are thinking back on interactions that you had with one another in the past. There seems to be a regret over having turned their back on you and the situation, coupled with it feels like fear that you've moved on, fear that you've found somebody else. Maybe you have found someone else. You have actually moved on. You're dating, or in some way are even just giving the vibe that you are open to something other than the return of this person. Maybe they've kept you waiting, kept you hanging for a while, and you're sort of looking towards the future. They are able to sense that in some way. It may be kind of pulling them towards you, energetically speaking, or if they're like watching from afar, they may be sort of going through your social media profile with a fine-toothed comb, wondering about people that are liking pictures, people that are commenting on things, people on your friends list, and kind of jumping to conclusions, worst case scenarios. Having triggered, it feels like a lot of jealousy that wasn't necessarily there before, or that they may also kind of wonder if this has been like a long-term separation with you and this person. There's almost a sense of, why do I feel this surge of jealousy after all of this time? Why do I feel drawn to look this person up or to think about them all of a sudden? I've made a decision to turn my back on this individual. Why now am I called back around to sort of this level of curiosity? There may be a lot happening in the dream space as well. They could be almost having like nightmares that you've moved on, that they've missed their opportunity and chance, which it feels like is presenting as particularly disturbing to them if they were the one that like ghosted you, left you out in the cold, and even for some where they have moved on into another connection, or maybe it was a third-party situation right from the start and they chose to return to an ex, or to not commit, keep their options open, or even involved another person in your dealings with one another. There's a sense of that harmony, that balance within themselves and within their life. For some people, the grass wasn't greener on the other side, and for others, it's even like in the midst of, a circumstance with someone else that they're currently involved in. Why are they now being sort of drawn back to a curiosity about you? Why would it even matter if you had moved on in your life, if they've already moved on in their life? And it feels to be something which is kind of filling them with a sense of dread, almost a sinking feeling that they've made the wrong choice, that there was something that they had overlooked about this situation, or kind of like their long-term happiness with how they handled the circumstance, or what they might have taken for granted within you. There's a sense of them feeling that they've picked the wrong option, even if that was to just reject you, no third party situations involved. There's a sense of them really seeing that that was a decision that was maybe made hastily or without all the information, without accurate information. They may have done some kind of shadow work, some kind of clearing in other areas of their life, and it has opened them up to a deeper ability to kind of reverberate with your energy in a way that wasn't possible for them before, which can tie into this idea of sort of scurrying back towards you or being pulled back towards you with this element of curiosity. What have I overlooked? What have I missed out on that wasn't so apparent to me in the past? So this feels to be somebody that's kind of like in distress, still sort of lurking in the shadows, but definitely, at least internally speaking, they're directing their attention towards you. So let's take a look at some of the blocks, obstacles, challenges, and fears that they are dealing with right now, either in conjunction with the connection or other things that are going on in their life at present. Okay, so we have trickery, forgiveness, and caching. So definitely a confirmation with these cards as far as having made the wrong choice. If a third party was involved, maybe it was even kind of an energy for some of they refused to sort of go with the flow of the connection with you, refused to open up toward what their heart was compelling them toward, either because they were waiting for someone from their past to return, and kind of a fear of like, well, if I shut the door to that person and move on, maybe I'm missing out on like the best thing that ever happened to me. For some, that'll be a situation of that other person never returned. They've left your life or left the situation in a very messy capacity, and it's a sense of, I didn't find the value that I hoped to find in my strategy previously. Or if an ex did return, or even somebody knew that they had either been involved with at the time that you were dealing with them, or somebody that kind of came along after the fact, it's this essence of they're not able to be fulfilled on a deep emotional level in the same way that they were with you. So it's almost like grass wasn't greener on the other side. Practically, in a material 3D sense, whoever they are with, or even kind of attempts to date other people, might be sort of providing them with very immediate gratification, things on kind of a material level that are satisfying, but again, it's sort of lacking depth. There's a shallowness to that. There's a fear as well that if they were to apologize, were to reach out, it would either be too little too late with this element of forgiveness, or that you had moved on. Maybe you've actually moved on, and so it's like the sinking feeling of I missed the boat, I missed the chance, and now I just need to sort of sit with this, with the regret of what has happened, or even kind of being haunted with the idea of what could have been. If you haven't moved on, if there's like nobody else involved in the situation, there is a fear that if they were to try and make amends, you would either hold the past against them, depending on how the situation played out before, that it might not be so easy to just reach out and say, I'm sorry. There's a fear as well of almost you allowing them back into your life in order to kind of bring the hammer down on them, give them a taste of their own medicine. And so that'll kind of, it feels like, apply to situations where you were just ghosted, left out in the cold, maybe under very unfair circumstances. This could have been somebody who was very unfair in kind of the way they spoke to you or handled the situation, and it's the essence of what do I say that can kind of erase the past. The idea of trickery is it can apply to being manipulated by another person, manipulated by even a sense within self as far as what they had considered to be their type, who they were looking for, what would be kind of the best partner for them. So that can indicate somebody who has done some degree of shadow work on other areas of their life. Maybe they've gone through some kind of a spiritual awakening or even dark night of the soul energy, kind of with this element of being a bit forlorn with the moon and kind of perspective that in some way their life has been turned upside down or it's kind of spiraling out of control in various sorts of ways, that they may be kind of having a struggle to sort of keep everything together. And it's the sense of almost them having made some breakthroughs, or being on the precipice of that their conduct with you in the past in some way stemmed from a woundedness within themselves. You offered love and they were the one who was not healthy and able to receive that, as opposed to anything they'd projected on you as far as it being too much, you not being the type of person that they were looking for. It feels like they see that you were the full package and they were the one that was sort of the issue. And so it's this sinking feeling of, what do I do about this now? Because I'm needing to sort of dismantle my personality or rebuild in a particular direction. And based upon that, how do I come back and sort of explain that to this other person? Like they're mad at themselves, or maybe any ways in which they've been able to sort of trace the root of certain wounds within them to other people, other circumstances, previous relationships, upbringing, culture, society, just wherever that sort of perspective or lens is sort of directing them currently, that there's a sense of them feeling that they almost were a puppet to these other sort of factors swimming around within their psyche, swimming around within their shadow. They could not receive the love that you were trying to give. And so it's something where they've gained some degree of understanding about that, but then there's a sense of how to rebuild from this point in time. What do they say? Or even wherever they're at, maybe in their own kind of personal journey, especially if they're in a dark night of the soul, what do they have to offer you at this point when they're kind of feeling at their lowest, or are tasked with kind of reconstructing themselves, their personality, their life from the ground up? What do they really have to offer at this point? So let's take a look at their possible actions towards you. So we've got the Nine of Cups and the Five of Cups. So this Five of Cups here with the cloaked figure definitely reinforces the idea of a dark night of soul energy, or just a sinking feeling, a sinking ship that this person is on. Either they find themselves alone, maybe, third party energies that they had chosen to go in the direction of, or the idea of like an ideal partner, somebody better suited to them. That caricature, that sort of criteria, it feels like it's bottomed out for them, either in terms of other partners or people that they were trying to call into their life, or that they were holding in like an idealized fashion. In some way that has crumbled. And so it's the essence of them feeling very foolish in a lot of ways, them really kind of struggling to understand why they would push away something good in the interest of something not fulfilling or not realistic. And so it feels to be that based on that, they'll continue to kind of just watch from afar, from sort of a silent perspective, kind of lurking in the bushes, watching you on social media, or even just thinking about this highly emotionally charged energy here. And so it feels to be something that, for the time being, it's kind of just standing still in place, but it feels like for a very necessary reason, a lot of you may have moved on. And so it's kind of like they don't really have anything to offer or to say that would change the circumstance and situation. So, for what it's worth, they seem to be in a very kind of dark place. A realization has happened, and it's not sitting well. How they handled the situation, the aftermath of the circumstances, and currently it doesn't feel like they will make any efforts to remedy that or provide apology. But for others, this is kind of just a process of them needing to really dig themselves out of a hole that they basically have submerged themselves into or toppled into, that is largely of their own making. And so the fact that they are not rushing towards you at this point, if you'd be interested in kind of taking this person back, depending on sort of where their spiritual journey leads them from this point, it's actually in your best interest that they just sort of stay put, work on themselves, figure out whatever these issues are, get to the bottom of whatever it is they've been kind of denying, running from, hiding from within themselves, in order to be able to offer you something of substance, meaning, and value, as opposed to whatever they had to bring to the table that was kind of flimsy the last time around. So let's get a little bit of guidance from Spirit, and then I'll move on to some message cards. Okay, so we have Wolf Spirit, turn knowledge into wisdom. So for some of you, this needs to just be chalked up as a lesson, to really work on building or continuing to build and repair your self-esteem, any ways in which you may have internalized or personalized this person's rejection. This can be a tool to do some of that healing within so that you yourself are not magnetizing in future connections or other people that resonate with like an unchecked wound within yourself. This can also be something for others, that the idea that, hey, they're not so comfortable in whatever choice that they've made, on the other side of kind of pushing you away, or rejecting what you had to offer, especially if it came in like a very cruel fashion. This can be vindication for you, that they may be presenting well, but they are not out there living their best life. So for what that's worth. For others, this is something that, just encourages you to continue to walk your path, whatever things you have done, to kind of rebuild yourself, to come to peace with sort of where the situation is at, because there is an energy in here of, although they're kind of sitting in this heavy and entrenched darkness, there is kind of perspective or some awareness that has happened, and that really opens the door to the potential of change. They need to help themselves before they have something useful to offer to you. So your best kind of advice is to not put your life on hold, not stand in place, not wait around for this person. Continue to move forward and trust that if they are meant to realign to you or circle back around, that it'll happen in kind of the time and manner that it's meant to. So let's see what they would tell you from their higher self. Okay, and we have distance is hard for me. So again, this is that confirmation of, for some, watching you from afar, seeing things from a different perspective. Their eyes have been open to bad decisions that they made as far as what they thought they needed and wanted in a partner versus what you had to offer that they either thought wasn't good enough or didn't sort of fit the mold of what they might have been seeking, that it feels like was based on kind of surface level energies or very kind of toxic or egoic patterns. You may have been offering kind of a truer love, a clarity of love, a consistency, a loyalty that was something even this person from their wounded nature wasn't used to. They were repelled by healthy relationships. And it's something that they have gotten some degree of perspective about that. For some, it's like Dark Night of the Soul Tower moment. They now have to go through the process of sort of rebuilding, rebranding themselves at this point. For others, this is something where this is kind of their lesson. It's kind of their karma, especially if you've moved on into another connection, that sort of they now get to see or live with that reality of what they could have had or something that was like a healthy love, a pure love, a true love that they chose to sort of push away, run away from, or, kind of opt for a third party, or even the idea that there would be something better out there. It's that plan didn't go according to their plan. And we also have, I'm avoiding my situation. So there is this kind of despondency here, this hopelessness. What can I really do at this point? They may be very entrenched in the idea that it's more than just reaching out without an apology. It's almost like things need to change in an all-encompassing way in their life. They may be faced with things that they have no choice but to rebuild and to repair. And in the process of doing that, dismantling aspects of their life, things being kind of, removed from their life in various capacities, any losses that they've incurred. It's almost in the midst of what's been cleared away. They now have some perspective or clarity that they didn't have before. And it's a rude awakening, kind of the idea of what kind of place within themselves they were manifesting from, or what sort of ideals they were moving toward, which the actuality of that, it feels just very empty and very hollow. So there's kind of a humbling that this person is going through right now, or they've been humbled. And we also have, there is no need to worry. So this feels to be kind of this reinforcement of the idea that rejection is divine protection in this instance, because this person needs to kind of go through some sort of makeover at a soul level. Their shadow needs to be understood and integrated more into who they are in order to be able to be of much value to you, to themselves, to anyone else emotionally. So this is kind of like, even beyond sort of their higher self, this almost feels to be like your spirit guides stepping in to say, whatever the nature of your your current circumstance, not this person, but you, the viewer's current circumstances are, as much as you might miss this individual or sort of wonder what if, or maybe you even harbor resentments, anger about how the situation was handled, or how you might have been just sort of kicked to the side in the interest of something else, or like a nebulous idea of something better. It serves a purpose for you in order for you to kind of will yourself to redirect the focus toward loving yourself and healthier reciprocal connections. It has also served a purpose for this individual. Despite appearances, they're going through a lot of turmoil and chaos, internally speaking. So it's almost like if the connection had continued on as it was before, it wouldn't have brought forth the best versions of both of you. If they were to come forth at this point in time, it feels that it would be very lopsided. You may have evolved, grown, and advanced, and they've been avoiding things. So they kind of need to do their work before they're on your level. Or, you've outgrown the situation in general, and, there's no need to worry because they didn't just walk away and forget you. It's not out of sight, out of mind. They're going through some sort of turmoil, emotionally speaking. And it's in conjunction, it feels like, with other things personally, but then it's brought the focus to you and sort of this situation, what has happened, and regrets about that. So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got U, G, M, O, B, S, H, L, F, Q, K, T, V, D, E, and Y. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn, where I do channeled message readings related to topics other than love and romance. So if you're looking for something a little different from me, that is the place to find it. There's a link to that channel in the description box of the video also. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the orange calcite. So let's start by taking a look at the thoughts and feelings of the person you are watching this reading for, that you are in a no contact situation with. What are they thinking about you and the distance between the two of you currently? Okay, so we have the King of Cups, the Eight of Wands, and Whale, Breach. So this feels to be somebody who is taking all of their effort and energy to remain silent at this point in time. It feels that distance has made the heart grow fonder in this situation, and they may be kind of nervous and almost like they're getting ready to run a race, so it may involve like going out on a limb, taking a leap of faith, wanting to bring forth some kind of communication, long overdue apology, or even if this is, it feels like for some this will be somebody who withheld their feelings before, so kind of like a failure to launch, a missed opportunity, and it has not sat well with them. This is kind of the energy for some of you that'll be where there wasn't any kind of dramatic breakup or ghosting or sort of hurt feelings, but it might have even just been where you drifted apart from one another. Life took you in different directions, and this is kind of the essence of, I wonder whatever happened to that person. I wonder what would have happened, or where we would be at right now, or where I'd be at in my own life if I had taken a leap of faith, if I had not been fearful of my feelings, or whatever other mitigating circumstances might have barred them from expressing the depth and nature of their affections for you. Maybe there was a lot of flirtation going on before, but they just never took that leap of faith to really convey what they were holding inside. It feels like, again, those feelings have grown. There is kind of a compulsion to reach out, to re-spark a connection, start maybe to build from the ground up, or an essence of needing to get to know one another again, or transcend some sort of boundary as far as the definition of your connection to one another. Maybe this is something that it was like a classmate or a coworker, or someone within a friends group or friends circle. This can even for some be the ex-boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, partner, whatever, of somebody that you knew in common. So kind of like a 6 degrees of separation, where etiquette and certain sort of entanglements prevented them from speaking about these feelings towards you, or held them back. And it may even be that those other circumstances, those other people, are no longer part of the picture. They're no longer in the equation. And so there's almost like a freedom of movement, or the ability to kind of conceive of a future between the two of you, where before it might have been something that was almost like off limits, taboo, kind of a forbidden fruit. Now that sort of other things have been cleared away, this might even have been you that was involved with somebody else, and this is an individual that was just kind of watching from the wings, thinking, if I ever got my opportunity, I would take that leap of faith forward. So any of those kind of situations that apply very specifically, this feels to be the energy of someone who's thinking about speaking that truth, wanting to make that bold move towards you, wanting to impress you either with the nature of an apology that may be required, or life changes that they have gone through, or again, feelings that they've been harboring in for quite some time, that now that they are sensing or seeing, kind of intuiting, maybe they've heard about you through the grapevine, they're watching from afar, they've looked you up, they've researched you, they've kind of vetted the situation out. And because this is, the King of Cups, this is like right on the brink of taking action, right on the brink of opening up and speaking in a way that they have had to sort of hold back on or withhold from before. If this is a situation where, it was a breakup, kind of a messy breakup, feelings were hurt, maybe things were said that didn't come from like a high vibrational place, it feels to be somebody who has kind of, they understand that they treated you unfairly, or maybe operated, it feels like, from a place of wounding within, and there's a lot of sorrow. This is somebody who's cried over you, or has held like a deep sense of mourning within. They've kept you in a place, kind of secreted away within their heart. And so this may be like a big conversation, some big show that may be required to sort of get you to open up, trust them again, get those lines of communication up and running once more. It feels like a lot of attention directed towards you. You may be feeling this person heavily energetically, re-entering your energy field for quite some time, or if you've always kind of felt their energy in an ambient way, the intensity of that, the pressure of that may be building. And it coincides, it feels like, with a very conscious kind of emotional energy that they are holding within, about wanting to express some sort of truth, seeing if you can put the past behind you, if you can rebuild, or if it's not too late to start fresh for the first time. So let's take a look at some of the blocks, obstacles, challenges, and fears that they are dealing with now, either personally or in conjunction with this connection. Okay, we have survival, forgiveness, and displacement. So for some, this is again the idea of like displacement kind of speaks to drifting out of one another's lives, maybe through kind of just a natural parting of the ways, or if this was somebody that, was kind of loosely connected with your reality, or there were third parties involved in the situation in the past and it sort of barred or prevented full and open expression and exploration of feelings. There's a sense of they may still be in the process of kind of clearing up the clutter of that. For some, it can be an individual who's in the process of going through a divorce, finalizing that, or has even already finalized that, but there's a sense of needing to kind of rebuild or pick up the pieces of their life, establish their autonomy on the other side of whatever normal looked like for them. That no longer exists, and kind of this essence of, as they redefine that element of normal for them, it's kind of a feeling of overwhelm, like they got a lot on their plate in that capacity, to where there's an urge to sort of move towards you, but then also a sense of some wreckage within their life that they still might be needing to clean up. That it's almost like, is this fair to bring this to this person's door? Is this fair to kind of dump all of this upon them? Or if things turned into like a romantic connection, the resurgence of that, there's almost a sense of, would this negatively impact or bring a lot of stress or upset or chaos to you, the viewer, that is kind of something they personally need to deal with or to close out? It might even be that they are waiting until things are kind of closed out, the dust settles, before they, take that leap of faith towards you, in the interest of sort of protecting other people emotionally, protecting their own interests, with this element of survival here, maybe financially, emotionally, if there's kids involved, to kind of not confuse children in that capacity, as far as sort of moving from one relationship to another, or some kind of process of like a messy dismantling. There's also an element here of not really being sure if you'd forgive them, if you'd remember who they are, if sort of it feels like suggestions or like a chemistry between you and an individual, that for some it's going to be like failure to launch. It never got off the ground. And so now they're kind of sitting in this energy of, was I just imagining that connection? The feelings I have grown over time, but we've not talked about it. We've been in separation for a period. Is this all in my imagination? Am I going to put myself out there and end up looking like a fool? There's also kind of a fear that they would be disrupting your life in some capacity. So they may be trying to sleuth out information, glean information. May be difficult for them to do that if you don't have a social media presence, or you're not very active on that. Maybe you've moved, maybe you've relocated, maybe you're just a very sort of private person and it's hard to find information. This can all be something that is sort of leading to a bit of anxiety. What am I walking into? What would I kind of be putting myself on the line for? Can I handle the reality of this person's life, or is it something where I'll just flat out be rejected? Would I make matters worse with this idea of forgiveness? Also, if it was a circumstance where feelings were hurt, and maybe it's been a long time, that they should have presented an apology long ago, and it's almost the essence of, why now? Why did you wait so long? Why did you put me through all of this? Why all this anguish if you felt this a certain way the whole time? Or you wanted to apologize for quite a while, but you just didn't do it. So there is sort of this element of caution here, wanting to make sure that they sort of follow their heart. It feels like for a lot of people, this is gonna yield someone who's very determined to move towards you. There's a tension to this energy where this isn't just casually observing and sort of wrestling with some fears within. This is almost the energy of someone who's bound and determined to take action, and they're just sort of unsure about your response, which is creating a bit of like, I don't know if now's the time. I don't know if this is the right manner and approach. I don't know if it's too little too late. I don't know if we can clean up what's been kind of torn apart between the two of us. So let's take a look at their possible actions towards you. Okay, so we've got the Page of Swords and Three of Swords. So it feels like for the meantime, this person's just going to continue to watch from afar, strategize something, gather what information they can. This could involve sort of keeping an active ear, listening for information about you. If they know people in common, they may even ask individuals. For some, it's going to be disappointment is what they hear. You've moved on. They're not able to sort of cross that boundary and threshold. It's too little too late. For others, this involves kind of, again, that idea of anything in their life that they're in the process of sort of clearing or cleaning up. Maybe even regrets as far as having not spoken their truth before, how they handled the situation, if it was something that didn't go very well on their part. It feels like they're still needing to sort of contend with that, which it leads to kind of like slow progress. This is still the energy of like determined to take action, but there's an element of wanting to move towards you or move within themselves out of an energy of anxiety and more into an all-encompassing beginner's mind. So it feels like, at least in sort of the scope of the energies of this reading, it's more of like an internal process of, I know how I feel, I know what I want to do, what loose ends in my life do I need to clean up, or do I need to finish up or tie up for myself before I present this person with my interest in sort of having a fresh start or having the beginning that we never had with one another in the past. What can I do to sort of, secure within myself an energy of freedom so that I am bringing forth, something that is viable rather than dragging in a lot of chaos or sort of misery about my situation or things that I'm dealing with. So it almost feels to be something that like tiptoeing towards you does serve kind of their ultimate goal of presenting themselves and communicating this truth, but it's not the essence of like, I'm rushing forth to you. You might almost get like a fly on the wall perspective of a lot of the internal monologues, scripting out what they're going to say. The anticipation building. Maybe they're waiting for a very particular occasion or event, a milestone event for you, birthday, anniversary, some sort of gathering where they know they'll see you, they know they'll encounter you, or it's something special to where they're not just popping up out of the blue, and it could just be an average day or any occasion, but something where it's almost, they're wanting to make it special. They're wanting to make this like dramatic appearance, but there's a necessity to kind of continue to plan, it feels like, or they're telling themselves they need to plan this a little bit more, or it's just very necessary to kind of move with caution, or they're just not able to rush forth towards you very directly. And so they'll continue to kind of, watch and sort of project themselves toward that future crossroads moment where they can speak that truth that they've been harboring inside. So let's get a little bit of guidance from Spirit, and then I'll move on to some message cards. Okay, we got Buffalo Spirit. The abundant universe will provide. So for some of you, the signs have been overwhelmingly pointing to this person's resurgence. You may have heard things about them as well. They're back in town. They've been asking about you. They're divorced. They're getting a divorce. They've broken up with so-and-so, whatever that is. If it resonates with you, if it feels right, obviously keep living your life. It's never a good idea to put our lives on hold for anyone or kind of sit in the pick-me kind of energy. That is a lack mentality. It does not magnetize in abundance. So the more you continue to, fill your own cup and sort of value yourself and what you have to bring to the table, and trust that this person, if these energies are resonating and, the story sort of fits for you, there is intention on their part to kind of do what they need to do in order to create the most open pathway to present themselves to you in a serious energy, not an in and out energy, not a fly by night energy, not, just sort of sampling the wares and then they're on their way again. So the more that you can sort of hold that high vibration, keep your standards high, keep moving toward the nature of abundance for you in a variety of ways, and trust, that this person will sort of get up and take action when they need to, when it's most appropriate for them. Continuing to sort of pour into yourself keeps you the most radiant in order to be able to kind of call in that like frequency, whether it's in the form of this person taking that action or somebody else who resonates and aligns with what you've cultivated within yourself and within your own life. So let's see what those messages are from their higher self. Okay, and we have, I'm trying to become stable. So there's that confirmation of loose ends in their life they are trying to tie up, or even for some, this is going to be the loose ends have all been tied up and it's just a process of like building their self-esteem again, building their finances, creating stability on the other side of change. Going through a glow up for themselves, you know, a makeover of their life or how they're presenting in the world. Things that kind of bring them to an energy of, I feel good about myself and therefore I'm able to kind of present goodness to other people. And we also have, I dream of you constantly. So there's that energy of their focus is on you. They're like actively manifesting some sort of future or future opportunity with you. You know, this can speak about having harbored feelings for a while, having been kind of made to wait their turn in this situation. If there were other people involved, they felt something for you for quite some time, but there just wasn't that window of opportunity. And so for a lot of you, this is the essence of making those dreams a reality. You know, not just allowing this to be a situation where life passes them by and they always wondered, what if? And they also say, I think so highly of you. So again, you are kind of, to tie in with this, you're a dream come true for this person. You know, if there's time that's passed and they've looked you up, they've kind of, whatever they're able to sort of glean or decipher about you, there's a sense of you've only gotten better with age. Time has only sort of enhanced you in a variety of ways. And it might be something that, as much as there was a stirring for you before, there's almost a fixation at this point. I have to move towards this person. I am compelled towards this person. I'm compelled to sort of do what I need to do in order to tie up my loose ends or continue to grow and evolve beyond that point where I've closed certain things out, because I don't want this to just be a missed opportunity. They want you to sort of see them as the best version of themselves because they see you right now. Regardless of how you feel about yourself or your situation, they're seeing you. This is the best version of you, and they're wanting to align with that in a way that is meaningful and comfortable and kind of appropriate for the both of you. So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got V, R, K, T, P, D, T, D, I, R, H, G, B, E, Y, M, and W. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn, where I do channeled message readings related to topics other than love and romance. So if you're looking for something a little different from me, that is the place to find it, and there's a link to that channel in the description box of the video also. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the pink calcite. So let's start by taking a look at the thoughts and feelings of the person you are watching this video for, that you are in a no contact situation with. Okay, we've got the Five of Cups, the High Priestess, and clouds shape-shifting. So this is giving the energy of somebody who might be going through or coming out of a dark night of the soul in conjunction with some kind of a spiritual awakening, or some phase of their ascension journey where they're transcending old belief systems, kind of getting ready to, or having just voluntarily walked away from certain beliefs, a life that they were living, a personality that they had constructed for themselves, visions for the future, or what their beliefs about love are. They may be somebody who had kind of shut down to the idea of ever meeting a person that would kind of, meet them and match them on all levels, be that like counterpart energy. And it may be something where they were very triggered by the energy you brought to the table when you were last in connection with one another. That may have caused this person to run. Almost the energy of the divine allowed the two of you to sort of sample one another energetically, to sort of touch upon one another and then pivot in opposite directions for the purposes of your own kind of spiritual journeys, paths of growth and ascension and evolution, other things within sort of the nature of your soul contracts in this incarnation that you needed to handle or deal with, or kind of go through in order to raise the vibration and frequency within yourselves, or redefine your lives in a certain way in preparation for what feels to be a higher level of love that's available to you and through one another, but is accessed first and foremost through that portal deeply within, becoming that love one is seeking inwardly in order to experience that outwardly. So this may be somebody who has had some kind of revelation as far as who you are to them, the nature of this connection, synchronicity, signs that they had been sort of confused by, frightened by, pushing away from, or in denial from. It feels like all of that has given way to a sense of, and it'll be different for different people, but there's a sense of we didn't meet by accident, or there's a higher purpose to the two of us coming into one another's lives. Although we're at a distance at present, there's almost a sense of the story's not done between the two of us. So they may be on like an evolutionary and growth-oriented path that is very self-focused, it feels like at this point in time. But it also is kind of, it's almost like connecting the dots within themselves to you, to experiences that they've had with you, things that you've said, things that they have felt energetically speaking. This may be somebody who considers you like a soulmate, resonates with that idea, or even kind of like soul connections, higher level soul connections, just whatever sort of terms you may choose to apply to this. It may even be something where the idea of terms like that were kind of repellent to this person, didn't sort of fit with the nature of what their beliefs were, or were something that just felt too cliche. And it's something where it's almost like they've transcended the need for labels, or the need to define the situation, to pick apart kind of every little detail of the circumstance. And it feels like it's given way to some degree of trust. They've changed their mind about something, or they've evolved beyond some sort of limit or block that could not allow them to sort of reciprocate with you fully in the past, receive all that you had to offer. It's a sense of them knowing that there's more to your story, and almost kind of deliberately protecting the connection by not trying to necessarily actively manifest an opportunity to move towards you. There's a sense of this person maybe having surrendered to the idea of, I'll know when it's time. I'll know within myself, or the signs will tell me, or my spirit guides, my higher self will kind of give that nudge or indicator that it's time to sort of redirect the focus from whatever it is they've been trying to work through. Energetic residue from previous partners, shadow work that kind of transcends wounds left within them through upbringing, through childhood, culture, society, previous romantic relationships, blocks to the full capacity to sort of give and receive love to themselves and another. And it feels like it's self-directed. There's a self-interest in that, but it also includes the idea of, I want to resurrect this, or I want to evolve to the next layer of our story with one another. And it is in the interest of that kind of future potential, that higher timeline, that I need to finish what I have started here as far as a process, a practice, something that they are involved in, some kind of journeying within themselves to very consciously kind of clear away some clutter from their life, actually, existentially, energetically, in order to kind of truly embody that best version of themselves, or a better version of themselves than they were when you were last in contact with them. They've transcended some illusion within self. And so there is a focus on you. It feels almost that you represent some kind of companion energy, a guiding light even. So this may be somebody who's, started getting into meditation, or various kind of things where they're aware of energy. They're not so closed off to the idea of that. It's sinking in. It's resonating for them. It's reflecting the nature of the actuality of other experiences that they're having, and they're very consciously able to sort of connect you and your energy and your essence and your presence in their life with wherever they're at right now in their spiritual journey. And it feels to be something where they're holding this energy close. They're pulling you close to them, or acknowledging that you've always been close to them as they continue to kind of walk forward along their path. So let's take a look at some of the blocks, obstacles, challenges, and fears that they're dealing with right now, either personally or in relation to the connection. Okay, and we have displacement, trust, and illusion. So this fits in very well with the idea of somebody on an ascension path, maybe in the midst of a dark night of the soul, coming out of the dark night of the soul, or even consciously kind of going in to do shadow work rather than waiting for tower moments to happen, and they're kind of just pivoted into that dark hole. They may have learned the lesson the hard way about that, and are sort of working in a cyclical fashion to tend to what needs to be tended to when the signal arrives for them that it's time to go deeply within and kind of clean things up. And so it's a challenge to sort of separate, sift through. What are my beliefs? What are my feelings? What do I resonate with? How does that align with the personality that I have constructed, that I move about in the world with? Or even kind of the physical nature of the life that I'm living, where I'm living, what that involves, what I do for work, who I'm surrounding myself with. And so it's a challenge because it feels like it's meticulous work. They're almost going at this with like a fine-toothed comb, some sort of precision, something where they may have been through a couple different cycles of things falling apart, or deliberately collapsing things in their life in order to sort of, separate the wheat from the chaff, clean house, metaphorically or figuratively. And so this is something where it's almost, they have a routine, they have a momentum, they are, entering into new territory, but they've got some kind of framework for, this is what I'm endeavoring to do. And that can coincide with like a practice that they resonate with, some kind of program that they're working, maybe even something self-created, like a self-help modality that's just sort of divinely inspired for them and by them. That they're kind of they're revisiting and revising everything. They're leaving no stone unturned within their life, within the people that they're dealing with. Somebody who it feels like is taking personal responsibility for the energy that they are putting out. And so it's a challenge for them to kind of hold themselves back from you at this point, because it's a sense of, like with protecting this connection, almost like I'm in the midst of some kind of a journeying, trying to process or filter out or purify something within my energy, within my life, before I present to you as this kind of evolved version of myself that's not just dealing with all of the messiness, but in some way has kind of up-leveled, has metamorphosized in some capacity. And so it's a struggle to kind of go through this. It's no easy task on their part, whatever it is that they're dealing with. Big changes that they may have needed to do, certain things that had to be cut off, or that they've needed to become very honest with themselves about, that at one point in time were goals and dreams or resonated with them, but that no longer kind of fit who they've discovered themselves to be, or who they want to be going forward. And so it's this process of kind of reimagining the life that they're living in every capacity, which is, again, challenging because it might be just it's so deep that they're going into this. This isn't just like surface level, cleansing of the space with sage and good intentions. This is like really getting down into the root of things and being very very mindful, very kind of self-aware, somebody who's taken a lot of personal responsibility and ownership for their own happiness, not as something to be achieved and experienced from anything outside of, their ability to kind of control and contribute a certain vibration of energy in order to magnetize in kind of like frequencies, people, and experiences, but it requires going in and doing that kind of manicure within themselves. And so kind of in the midst of the tedium, in the midst of kind of finishing some things up, wrapping some things up, and in the midst of that is almost this conscious awareness of, I want to move towards you. I want to resurrect this connection, or respark this connection, or give this connection a chance for real this time, or for the first time, if they just were sort of triggered by the situation and went in the opposite direction. And so it feels to be kind of like heavy lifting that they're doing, which is taking a lot energetically from them. Again, it might be like a tedious process, but there feels also to be a challenge of like holding themselves back. I want to move towards you and speak my truth, but I owe it to myself and to you and to us to kind of finish what I started in this capacity. So let's take a look at their possible actions towards you. Okay, so we've got the Hierophant and the World. So this confirms that spiritual awakening energy, that ascension energy, that they are in the midst of consciously up-leveling in some kind of way. And when that comes to its place of completion, this feels to be something that, like, their first stop's going to be you, the first call's going to be you. They're just waiting for that sign from the universe, or, the indicator from themselves, or any kind of, again, like program, system that they're working, process that they're going through, anything as far as, to tie back into this displacement energy where they're having to sort of retrofit or reformat their life, settle into kind of a new life, or move away from an old life. That can be the internal life, that can be the company that they're keeping, what they do for work, where they're living, what the goals are, what the focus is, lifestyle choices, what some combination of all these things. When that reaches a place of, stability has been achieved, there's a new normal for them, or like a next version of themselves, that feels to be something that then they will take those action steps towards you. So this is something that's almost like slow and steady wins the race. This is not somebody who's remaining at a distance at this point because it's based on fear or denial. This is someone who's very much aware of the higher meaning between the two of you, the spiritual significance of this connection and your intersection in one another's lives, and based on how profoundly they have been changed as an individual, maybe sparked or instigated by their meeting of you, or something where they were already kind of on a spiritual path and you crossed paths with one another, something that even in the aftermath of separation, independent of any kind of spiritual connection, they may have had some sort of awakening that has propelled them now on a path of self-discovery and growth, that they are now able to sort of tie back into you, almost a sense of like there was always something about you, or a sense of being drawn towards you, that to honor themselves and to sort of finish what they started honors the ability to kind of give the connection between the two of you, the resurgence or the starting of it, the best chance to not just be experienced, but to thrive and to align with whatever these new values are, or the new life that they've created, whatever they see or understand or imagine or glean or intuit as far as the path that you are walking, what you align with. There's kind of an element of, I need to finish helping myself in order to kind of help us to move beyond sort of the distance and into more of a cohesiveness with one another. So let's get some guidance from Spirit, and then I will get some message cards from this person's higher self. Okay, we have Fox Spirit. Think on your feet. So this is the energy of never say never. Don't dismiss this connection just because there's silence. Trust sort of what you're feeling energetically. If the signs are, sort of connecting you and this person, if you're feeling very in sync with them, a lot of telepathy, a lot happening in the dream space. This is something where, obviously kind of take the practical reality of what you're seeing. Never rely purely just on the energies you're feeling or what the signs are telling you. In the material world, if there's silence, there's silence. And that needs to be respected as much as a higher level connection or compulsion you feel towards someone. But there's a sense of this situation needing time, although it's in kind of a phase of movement, for the material reality in some way to align with a higher kind of immaterial reality. And so this is, if you feel intuitively guided to sort of keep the door open for this person or keep the idea of this person in a hope-based place, then that's kind of the best direction to move in. If this is something to where, you're feeling maybe that you're growing in another direction, or you're just kind of being compelled towards something else, even though this person feels very much to be on a spiritual path, aligning with kind of stepping into that better version of themselves, you need to kind of put your own interests first and foremost. Because again, in the material world, if there is not action taking place, it's not fair to you and the abundance available for you in this life, the love that you are seeking, which, the universe wants to help align you with. If you're just sort of standing in place until somebody else kind of, goes through their process or figures things out, then you're denying yourself that opportunity for blessings. Maybe this person on a spiritual path, maybe they take a detour, maybe they get stuck somewhere, maybe the version of them that kind of comes out of this process of manicure doesn't align with sort of who you are. And then you've waited for nothing. So just sort of whatever it is that resonates with you as far as your higher self, to stay or to go, it feels like will be the most appropriate course of action, because the direction this person is headed in, even if you're, sort of moving in opposite directions theoretically or actually, they'll kind of catch up to you at the time when they need to. If it's meant to be, it feels that there's enough kind of heavy spiritual energy here that the universe will align you again in the proper time and manner. But you do not serve that sort of possibility by regressing in ways from your own kind of spiritual evolution and growth, from taking any focus that you've needed to direct onto yourself and just applying it back to this person, based on signs that might be pointing towards them, or resurgence of this energy, or even what kind of you're, hearing in this reading right here that might cause you to sort of get off track with whatever it is you sort of grown and developed for yourself. Focus on you and keep an open mind about this situation, because it feels like something where, you might be surprised at what occurs, either with the return of this person, or you might be surprised at kind of the blessing of love that the universe provides to you in the form of another person who is ready to receive you, who is able to align with you deeply, who's done their work and meets you at your level on your path. And if you just sort of stand in place and wait for someone else to catch up, you'll miss that individual that's kind of already right there, just sort of waiting to align with you, or is already sort of moving to that intersection of time where the two of you, just kind of organically click with one another. So let's get some messages and see what this person would tell you from their higher self. Okay, and we have, there is no need to worry. So this feels like more than this person's higher self. This is the universe indicating to you that, whatever happens in this situation, there is love for you. There is that divine, higher level soul connection. And so part of the element of how that will be delivered to you, it feels like, is the element of surprise. It's either going to be, this person in a redefined form that really just sort of exceeds your expectations of kind of what they were capable of, or what the future of this connection would hold. Or it's somebody else who sort of exceeds your expectations of what higher level divine soul connections can be like. Somebody who has been walking their own path, doing their own work, and in the time and manner that it's necessary, you will be revealed to one another by the universe. We also have, it's easy to focus on the bad, redirect your energy. So again, this is kind of the encouragement, not from this person's higher self, but, you know, the universe itself sort of saying, don't stop the progress that you've been making on your own spiritual path and kind of get distracted by the possibility of this individual. You know, you've aligned with sort of a core truth within yourself, and this is now their time to kind of go through their life, go through their reality, and, you know, continue to sort of make improvements as necessary. It may be that, you know, you're further ahead than they are. And so, you know, other opportunities could present themselves to you. And it's almost like you've served a purpose for one another to activate, spark, or instigate some sort of spiritual expansion, but it may not be that you're meant to be with this individual. You know, so just kind of limiting yourself, pinning yourself down to, it's just this one person or no one else. You know, especially if you've been in like a no contact situation and there's, you know, evolution involved and ascension involved and all of that, you know, the version of them that you may have resonated with at one point in time may not be the version of them that kind of comes out the other side of metamorphosis, and vice versa. You know, it may feel very like in theory that the two of you would be meant to be, but in the actuality of it, who you've both grown and evolved and ascended into might not be a match. You may not be a match in values. You may not be a match in energy. You may not be a match, especially with this person having made so many lifestyle changes, that might not fit the life that you have created for yourself. So it's the idea of like, keep an open mind, but don't limit yourself or stop your progress, or just kind of wait in place and kind of lose the momentum of what you've built up to this point for yourself. We also have, you are my North Star. So, you know, regardless of what the outcome in this situation is, it feels like this individual is very inspired by you energetically, actually, in terms of what they're able to see or kind of decipher of your path. They feel very connected to you and are almost trying not to pull on your energy, but maybe just sort of taking notes from you energetically speaking. There's an urge to kind of catch up or to make their way to that point where, you know, you can both be sort of shining as constellations in the same sky, but it may be that you're a little further ahead on that and they didn't do the work until later on. You know, where you're headed is not the same direction that they are headed. Nevertheless, it's, you know, with that energy of the star, it's kind of like, if you feel like leaving the door of possibility open to this person, follow that guidance within yourself. If you're feeling that it's time to kind of just wish this connection well and set your sights higher, then that's the voice that you need to listen to at this point. So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got G, K, H, P, A, F, D, U, B, C, L, H, B, D, C, E, I, X, and V. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn, where I do channeled message readings related to topics other than love and romance. So if you're looking for something a little different from me, that is the place to find it, and there's a link to that channel in the description box of the video also. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.